I'm gonna take 10 different emojis and make them realistic using Photoshop, starting with this emoji. Let's add a skin texture with an inner shadow to make it look more spherical. I'll make a rectangle and round the corners to match with the mouth and move it to the realistic version. Next, I'll align the eyeballs with the emoji version and then move it to the other one. After that, I'll add an inner bevel and an outer bevel. Let's make the mouth red before making the eyes more blue. I'll line up some realistic teeth across the teeth on the emoji and put them on the realistic one, but there's not really a gap between the mouth and teeth like the original emoji, so let's make another rectangle and round the corners. Let's make the outside a pink color with an outer bevel before adding some shadows on the teeth and finally putting them inside the mouth. So this is the realistic grimacing face emoji. It's definitely cursed, but it's pretty funny, so I like it. Let's move on to the next emoji, which is the zipped mouth emoji. And we already have the skin, so let's just add back those eyeballs, but I want to switch up the eyeballs so every emoji isn't the exact same, but the first method I tried looked terrible. But something good that came out of this was that since it looked so bad, I tried adding some facial shadows, which I do like. So let's delete those eyelids and make them look like they're really open, like those last to fall asleep thumbnails. After that, I'll use the pen tool to cut out 8 zipper points of the zipper. Let's line up the zipper on the realistic emoji and erase the slider. I'll make the whole thing silver with an outer bevel before adding back that slider and erasing some parts. Then I'll warp it to make it look more similar to the emoji one. I'll give it some shadows and highlights, and that's basically it. Now let's make this emoji realistic. Alright, the next emoji is the robot emoji, so let's make it realistic. And to do that, we're gonna have to basically recreate the entire emoji. I'll add an outer bevel to the nose, which I did change later, but for the eyes, I'll make a circle with a gradient similar to the original eyes with an outer bevel and inner shadow. Let's duplicate that circle, and after changing the gradient colors, I'll make the blue part look like a light and duplicate it for the other side. Let's make a circle for the top and make it also look like a light, and I don't know exactly how to copy this because it's kind of a weird object, but I'll draw a little part for the top in purple and then make a little top part for it. I don't even know if this makes sense anymore. Okay, so now we basically just have an emoji. So let's go around and add some textures. Now let's finally fix that nose and make it look more pointed out. So here is my realistic robot emoji. Next, let's take this crying emoji and turn it realistic. I'll start by making a rectangle and rounding it to be the mouth. So let's also change the colors to look more like a mouth. And now I'll take this sad guy and cut out his eyes before lining it up with the emoji. Then I'll put it on the realistic version, and obviously we're gonna need to fade the image into the skin and adjust the color. Let's add some eyebrows on top of those eyes we added and fade that in too. I'll add a low exposure layer to add some facial shadows onto the face. Next, I'll cut out some teeth and put them on the realistic emoji. After we're done with that, I'll draw some tears coming down from the cheeks and fill them in. Let's go over the tears and make them look more like actual tears while still kind of keeping the cartoon style. And finally, I'll just blur the skin behind the tears. So here's the emoji. And if you're enjoying the video, don't forget to subscribe or you'll end up like this next emoji, the clown emoji. So let's cut out the eyes and mouth of this girl and put them on the realistic face. I'll warp the smile to look more creepy and then fade it together with the face. I'm also gonna do the same for the eyebrows. Next, I'll add a foam nose and make it red. Let's use Liquify to mess with the mouth a little bit more and then add the eyes. But sometimes clowns wear contacts, so let's remove the iris before adding a different one. After putting one on the other side of the face, let's add the face paint. Alright, so now that we've created possibly the scariest thing ever, let's add some black hair to be the red hair puffs on his head. Let's make it red and then put one on the other side before adding some hair in front of his face to give it some more depth and make it look more realistic. I think this is maybe the most cursed thing I've ever made, and this isn't even one of my horror videos.
Get some help. I'm MicahTheJord.
But you know what else will get you some help? Milanote, the sponsor of this video. Milanote is an easy to use tool for organizing your ideas and creative projects, or in this case, turning emojis realistic. For the final design of the video, I've added a mood board for inspiration with a bunch of fan-made emojis in the Apple style that I found on the internet, which definitely helped when designing. I used Milanote to plan out all the emojis I wanted to design in this video, so I made a mood board for each of them, which helps me plan out all the designs while still keeping them super organized. I can add notes for stuff I want to remember and include later on. For example, the clown needed face paint, so I put all the colors down. And the ogre emoji has a lot more shading than the other ones. All the tools just make the whole process insanely easy, and Milanote has over 100 built-in templates for literally any creative project, like filmmaking, storyboarding, designing, ideation, and so many more, which is all super easy with Milanote's flexible drag and drop interface, which helps keep everything even more organized. You can use templates like the mood board template I used for the final emoji that just lets you replace the images. And if I think of an idea but don't have my computer, I can just pull out my phone and open the mobile app. So you can start right where you left off, even in the bathroom. If you're working with others, you can share your boards and get feedback in real time, and even work together. So I just copied the link to my board and sent it to my designer friends. Then they can just let me know which emojis they liked the most by adding some comments or notes or even drawing on the board. And we're not even in the same country. Milanote is available for free with no time limit, so make sure to sign up using the first link in the description, and thank you to Milanote for sponsoring this video and supporting the channel. So let's move on to the next emoji, the winking face. Let's add an eyeball and adjust the size to match the original emoji. Let's give it an inner shadow and an outer bevel before adding a closed eye and fading it into the skin. We got the top half done, so let's use the pen tool to recreate the mouth shape and put it on our realistic guy. Following that, I fixed it up a little bit and added a freaky little tongue in his mouth. Let's give the tongue some shadows as well as the face before using Liquify to give the eyelids a little arc. I think... Okay, cool. No, sorry guys, I'm out of here. I think this is my favorite one so far, but we still have the ogre and our custom emoji at the end. But first, let's work on the devil emoji, which let's just speed through a little bit quicker. I used a different skin for this one, which looking at it now, I really don't like, even though it does have technically more depth than our other realistic ones. So to be honest, I think this is my least favorite emoji. It just kind of sucks. So let's go back to our regular skin texture for the next two. And speaking of the next designs, our next emoji we're gonna make realistic is the ogre emoji. So to start, I'll use the pen tool to recreate the shape of the ogre, and when that's done, I'll put our beloved skin texture on it. I'm also gonna add some shadows around it. Next, I'll take this woman's nose and eye and put them on the face. After fading that in, I'll make it red and then remove that color from the actual eyeball. Let's put another one on the other side and bring in the nose, which I also made red. And the next thing we need to do is add a wide smile, so that's exactly what I'll do. But I am gonna mess with the size of it and use Liquify. That's pretty terrifying, so let's make it red and then remove the color from the teeth before fading the mouth into the face. I think it would help if we added some highlights onto the face in the same areas as the original one. And now let's put our ogre in front of the apple ogre and color in that hair. I think this looks pretty nice, but let's go back over it with a brighter hair color for some more depth, and then once again go back around with some more hair, but on the front of the face. One last thing we need to do is add the teeth. well, like the sharp ones. So let's add some longer teeth into the right positions and fix them up a bit. I'll fade those teeth into the regular teeth to look more normal and then slightly adjust the color. So this is probably the best one we've made so far, except for this final emoji, which doesn't even exist yet, because we're gonna create a brand new emoji in the Apple style and then take that and make it realistic. And this new emoji we're gonna be creating is the freaky emoji. I'll start off by using the patch tool to remove the eyes, and that actually looks pretty good. Let's add this emoji on top and take its eyebrows for our new emoji, but I also want to take that same emoji and use the ellipse tool to take the eyes. Okay, that's not right. Let's just raise those eyes and make them smaller before moving them farther apart. Now, this is cool, but if I'm getting freaky, my eyebrows would probably be a bit different. So now that the eyebrows are more devious, I think this tongue could be longer, because why not, I guess. Let's fix up that tongue, and this is the difference, but some emojis have different skin colors you could choose between. But what if you could choose accessories? So for this emoji, the accessory you can choose to add is going to be a cowboy hat. So let's take this fake emoji I found and remove everything but the hat. Let's bring back the freaky guy and put the cowboy hat on top of it. Finally, I'll just fix up the edge, and this is our new freaky emoji. But this video is about making emojis realistic. So let's bring the freak into Photoshop and recreate the mouth with the pen tool. Next, we need a tongue, so I'll line that up in the same kind of area and make it look like it's actually in the mouth. I'll warp some eyebrows to be eyebrows and then use them for the eyebrows. Let's give the tongue some shadows and bring in some eyes. After that, we'll adjust the color and fade it into the skin. Now we'll put one on the other side, and I kind of love this so far, I'm not gonna lie. Let's give our guy a cowboy hat and warp it with the puppet pen tool. I'll put some shadows below the cowboy hat. Let's give the tongue some motion blur because, I mean, that's more realistic. So here's our custom realistic emoji. Let me know in the comments which emoji you think is the best, and don't forget to do something nice for someone today, and maybe check out one of these videos. They look pretty interesting, actually.